I just finished reading a book about Meyer Lansky and the Jewish gangsters that were around during the Prohibition era. And to make a long story short, the Jewish gangsters of the Prohibition era were friends and allies of the Italian gangsters. And the Jews were actually instrumental in helping the Italians create La Cosa Nostra. But the thing that the Jews did that the Italians didn't was they got out of crime after one generation. So you only had one generation of Jewish gangsters, and once they began to have children, they used their profits from crime to put their children through school and to put their children in a position where they didn't have to go the criminal route. They discouraged it, and oftentimes their children didn't even know that they were criminals. The Italians, on the other hand, encouraged a second generation, a third generation, a fourth generation. Their children and their subsequent generations joined the Mafia and kept it going. But the Jewish gangsters got what they got from Prohibition and from the casinos. And by the time the 50s came along, they were already retired and they had enough money built up so that their subsequent generations didn't have to get involved in crime. Because at one point in time, before Fidel Castro came along, Cuba was the ideal place for Jewish gangsters. You see Hyman Roth in the Godfather movie. He was slicing the cake, and each slice represented a casino ownership. So if he gave you a slice of cake, that means you own this casino. You know what I mean? And on and on. So they made millions of dollars from those casinos in Cuba because Cuba, prior to Fidel Castro and the revolution, was probably the number one tourist destination for Americans. And yeah, they made millions and millions of dollars. And I think that's so smart. And I just think it was smart. They made millions of dollars from prohibition. They used their prohibition money to invest into casinos and drugs. And then by the time the 50s came along, bam, they had made their money and they were out of crime. But the Italians, they stayed with it. And over time, their organization became decimated through RICO, the RICO Act, the conspiracy cases, and all of that kind of stuff. You see, the Jewish criminal organization never faced a RICO trial because they weren't in existence by the time the RICO was being utilized. So I think that there is some lessons in that. And when you see a lot of wealth in the Jewish community, I wonder how much of it came from their ancestors who were involved in crime. I mean, Jewish people didn't need crime to become successful. I mean, we all know that they were basically the originators of the finance industry, the banking industry. Even before it was called banking and finance, they were, you know, the people who dealt with money lending, going all the way back to the days of Babylon when they lost their their homeland the first time. Even when they were invaded by the Assyrians, they were money lenders. Wherever they went, they became money lenders. So they didn't need crime to become rich, but I do think it's very impressive that they had the discipline to resist crime after only one generation. And when their children grew up, they used that profit from crime to make sure that they could live normal lives. Peace.